Day 2 at RunLab in North Austin. This is 1 week since our initial movement analysis. They've sent me some videos so I could see how I look on the treadmill. I'm not going to go over the details. I'll let Dr. Murray discuss what inefficiencies I have and what we can correct. But we're 16 weeks out from Ironman Texas. I spoke with my coach yesterday. We're about to really start ramping up the training load. So it's really important to correct my inefficiencies and really prevent an injury. The last thing I want is further injuries that I can't afford when we're going to be going into Ironman Texas. Let's get inside and check it out. Yeah, I didn't know I was doing some of the things I'm doing, and it's so interesting how different between the left and right.
Absolutely. I'll be really curious to dig into that and see what we can get that right leg doing better. But,
and I'm sure you'll elaborate on it, but some of the details on just like eccentric specifically,
totally.
or gluteal muscle or quad eccentric.
I'm really curious what jumps out at us on that right leg for exactly which component is limiting that process, if not a little bit of each of them.
And we can find that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Right. And then find that denominator and raise it, right?
Yeah. I would imagine that a lot of it, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts, but would be in my head about being more overprotective than actually what it's capable of.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised, especially when it comes to the coordination aspect, right? Because we can bend your leg, it's like, and then you can do squats, but then as soon as you have to do it quickly or powerfully, it's like, we're not ready to go that fast, and then your brain just locks it up or something. So that's exactly what I'd like to practice. What I want you to think about as we discuss this
cohesive
is that your body is finding a pattern of movement that works. Like, it's very trial and error. It's very iterative when we learn how to move, find a way to move. And although it sounds simple, you can watch a baby or a toddler learn to walk, and you see them go through the exact same process. Where their brain is firing off a bunch of signals. It's like trying to coordinate muscles, and it's like, that didn't work, and then it goes down. And every time it fails, it says, okay, that strategy didn't work, that pattern, that input didn't work, and then it tries something else. And every time it gets closer to the goal, this is how we kind of model some AIs, is it's like, okay, that one got slightly better, that one got slightly better, that one got slightly better. And generally what your body is looking for is stability, so that things are not getting undue stress or excessive pain. Generally speaking, it does try to be efficient. So if you're asking it to go 26 miles, it's probably going to find a decent way to go 26 miles. And in this case, you're moving forward, right? So it's like, all right, how does your nervous system and your musculoskeletal system get you moving forward? There are a bunch of different ways to do that. And some of them work in the short term. Just like when you see the toddler who can kind of fall forward, it's like maybe you switch to a crawl, right? It's like hopefully by the end of the 26 miles, you're not having to switch to a crawl.
Maybe I'll crawl.
But there's a bunch of different ways forward, right? So your body has found a way forward.
Yeah. And
it probably works for a period of time, but it might mean you're doing extra work as you do it, taking on extra stress as you do it. Eventually, I don't want that to create an injury. And maybe for performance, we can actually find a slightly smarter, more strategic way to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'm also focused not just on near term and Ironman, but also if this is going to affect me in a decade or two, that's more important for me.
Unfortunately, that process of trial and error is very short-term focused, right? It's like, all right, how am I moving forward? If that works, it starts to become a habit. We generally call that muscle memory, right? We form an actual memory for how you're going to walk or run, hold yourself while you do XYZ task. It's not a smart enough system to know what's going to work 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, right? So sometimes people wind up in trouble where it's like, hey, this works for now, but it might be doing some extra wear and tear. It might be causing some imbalance, and eventually that becomes a problem. Our system, we're usually not thinking about that, and the onboard system does not have that foresight, unfortunately.
Okay.
So that's where we can maybe add a little bit of nuance, work with the system, but mainly expose you to the better or more efficient mode of movement, and then open the door to it and get out of your way, right? Because your system is going to learn it quicker and better than I can try to micromanage it. And you might be surprised that we keep things deceptively simple when it comes to actually implementing it, right?
Cool.
I don't need all the angles going through your head. I don't need all the numbers going through your head. You can leave that for us to measure and manage, right?
Yeah, as a beginner.
But like you're not thinking about like the math. I don't necessarily need you thinking about the physics. You're not like sometimes picturing the angle helps some folks if you're a visual learner. But like we're gonna try to keep it simple because I just want to open the door to a different version of movement, and then we will see a bunch of things change, and then we let the engine run, right? And then we let you play with it, and then your system learns it and hopefully adopts it.
That makes sense. This past year, I've learned that as a beginner swimmer, where I'll get in the pool and if I have 10 things on my mind, I'm just gonna sink. But maybe
it's like tossing you 10 tennis balls at once. It's like you're not going to catch any of them, right?
Exactly.
It's like we do one, then the second, you know, like one, and then let you internalize it. So if your watch is measuring that, or if any of your wearables are measuring that, vertical oscillation is the total up-down movement that you'll undergo. So his is a little different from yours.
And is that more that I would imagine that's more of an ideal position form that
So this guy we're using as a demonstration of a lot of the principles that we're going to try to tap into.
Cool.
Now, you're not the exact same body type. You're not the exact same leg length. You don't need to move exactly like him, right? There's no like one perfect, but he demonstrates a lot of the basic principles or movements that we're going to try to tap into. And for the sake of demonstration, he potentially over exaggerates them. So the good news is if you try to look like this and you're like, holy shit, this is really difficult, cool, then you probably get to chill it out a little bit, especially on race day.
Cool, yeah. Well,
but in terms of practice, this dude is smooth. And if we flip back to your running, we see those legs they're carrying you, but they don't exactly have that like fluidity and that bounce and that pop. Exactly, pop is one of the major words that we use because it conjures that image of propelling yourself forward, right?
No, it looks laborious, and it looks like I'm using a lot of energy, maybe with my upper body, maybe I don't know, too much rotation or something.
Yep. So, to dig into that, and again, I want you to keep in mind, it will sound like I'm rattling off separate problems. They are, by and large, interconnected and almost facets of the same problem, if you will, or the same pattern. And your body's figuring out how to move, and it's doing its best, especially if things on the right leg are not fully back up to snuff. But it's still figuring out a way to move forward, which is a really cool thing. But maybe we can strategize and make it a little bit better at the same time. Heel striking seems to correspond to some increased injury risk, generally for the knee, but a little bit of everything. But there's some caveats to that. I don't like to overemphasize the heel strike because it is a manifestation of your pattern of movement as opposed to the end-all be-all, right? So if we don't change the rest of how you move and the rest of your posture or stride, and I simply ask you to change from a heel strike to midfoot or to forefoot, and everything else stays in the same position, you're just going to have a different problem, potentially even a worse problem.
Got it.
So not overemphasizing that, but it is one of the facets. You'll also notice in this pattern of movement, the thing that puts you out in the heel strike also puts you into a relatively straight knee. Tiny bit of bend on that lead leg, and this is the moment that you're touching down on the ground. While you're doing that, your leg is reaching out in front of you. If it almost looks like you're walking with some extra arm pump, right? This is exactly the motion and the strategy we use when we walk. Or same idea in swimming. You might imagine you come over the water and then you pull yourself forward through the water.
Right, not down.
Yeah, exactly. You're not just trying to splash. You're not trying to like move through the water. This guy lifts above the spot that he's going to touch down, and then he pulls and pushes himself forward. And that's that pop or propulsion. Just like when you pull yourself forward in the water, as opposed to walking where we are reaching and just trying to cover ground with this big extension. Putting us in this position.
Yeah, and it seems to naturally elevate him up more. And what a lot of the warm-ups we do at our speed work with my coach is those A steps and B steps, where it's almost like you're stepping over something.
Totally.
Yeah, and I'm never just consciously thinking enough like you're suggesting. It's more about just get from A to B. And I know that's why I'm here, is because I know that's not the best way to go about it.
Eventually, it is my hope that most people land in that spot, though. Instead of it being like constant mental work, constant like cerebral effort. Once you make it the new muscle memory, my hope is you can get into a flow state and your brain just has to think, all right, I'm going there. How does my body automatically do that? And hopefully that's optimized. But with practice and along the way, it probably does take a little bit.
Maybe push it down into the subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it's always better if we can practice it enough and learn it well enough that it becomes subconscious automatic, because then you can be dead tired and you'll still roughly be doing the same thing. You could be distracted having a conversation on an easy run and your legs will still be taking care of it, right? We should be able to multitask movement once we learn it well enough. What we're seeing here is indeed that heel strike, but that heel strike is part of this pattern of overstriking.
Okay.
It's potentially a term that you've heard. I called it reaching, right? It almost looks like we're walking. Simply put, that means your foot is coming down on the ground too far in front of your body, specifically in front of your center of mass, which is right here. So what we're going to try to do is get you to touch down a little bit more like this guy.
Underneath him.
Where you'll notice doing a pretty good job of touching down on the whole foot at once. So when people talk about the midfoot landing or midfoot strike, pretty good demonstration. It's almost like you're using the whole foot at once. His shin is pretty much vertical, so his knee is directly over the ankle. And then you'll notice we don't quite have his shoulders and head, but his whole body is positioned over that landing point and over that leg instead of behind it. All those things pattern together. And that's why, as we practice it, I'm actually not going to be the most picky about what part of your foot touches down first.
Okay.
Because if you are here and your knee is a little bit bent and you land on the heel, it's already way different. This matters far more.
That's more important
than this. Walking, or this pattern of walking, making the triangle or sliding really close to the ground, can only get oh so fast. As our foot gets farther out here in front of us, we are producing a bigger and bigger braking force. And we call it a braking force because it is opposed to the direction that you are trying to go. So if you're really strong and you've got a lot of endurance, oftentimes people can pull this off because they'll handle that braking force and then still manage to push themselves forward into the next step. But it's almost like you are pumping the brakes on every step. And if you get too tired or if you mess that up, that braking force can turn into something that goes into the knee, hip, or into the back, oftentimes the knee. And that's where I would be curious about this right side, right patellar tendon injury in the past, because that is where this right side doesn't necessarily want to handle and fluidly absorb any of that force.
Right. I would say the good news on that is, one, there's no pain. I'm not restricting it because of pain. And two, based on our conversation last week, you expected maybe to find some area that we can loosen up where it's not. Because I remember when my surgeon took me out of surgery, she's like, trust me, I bent your heel all the way to your ass.
Yeah, it can.
It can. You're just your body's not letting you.
Yeah, right.
And
it's guarded. Yeah.
So I think that's actually encouraging because I think there's room for improvement. I don't think it's just stuck like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even there's a motion that we're looking for. Let's say like if you're squatting, kneeling, and the quality of that motion So if your knee is willing to give it to us like smoothly and fluidly, which is a little bit more based on like the internal mechanism there. But the reality is, in running, I don't need you to bend that far. It would be great for you to be able to bend farther, and it might free up that protectiveness. It might give you, your brain, your body, the sense of confidence, like, oh yeah, I can let this be fluid and bendy and elastic. But the reality is, I don't need you to bend all that much. I already know you can bend that far, and we didn't have any pain. All we're looking for, boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
By the time this guy gets here, he's got approximately a 45-degree bend at his knee.
Okay.
So line on the thigh, line on the shin, 45-degree bend right here. You're substantially less than that.
Yeah.
On the left side, which we'll pull up in a moment, you're almost to that. We could actually get you probably a little bit more fluid and bouncy on the left side.
Okay.
But it's not crazy, right? It's not like you're like ass to grass squat or anything. I bet you can get here.
Yeah.
We just need to get you cleanly and fluidly into and out of this position,
Okay.
which is likely more of a coordination aspect.
Yeah, I've never told my leg to do that. I've just kind of done what I'm trying to do, which I'm sure is protective.
Yeah, right. And to your credit, it works.
Yeah.
So to continue the sequence here, touching down here after he touches down, in part because he has made his job easier. He has less braking force to deal with. He's in a really good position to fluidly absorb and manage all the forces that he's got to deal with as he catches himself. Everybody's got to do that, right?
Yeah.
Gravity's trying to pull you into a pile on the floor. We just jumped forward, essentially. Now we need to cushion that landing. That means you have to bend. I want some of that bend to occur at the ankle, some of that bend to occur at the knee, and some of that bend to occur at the hip, which will be a really big piece for you, especially as we change your posture here, as we change your position here. That means that all of the major muscles in the leg, especially these ones on the backside, are going to be able to play a part in absorbing that force. So we use the whole team. We distribute that force between a bunch of different muscles, multiple joints as well, right?
Cool.
Most importantly, that can only happen if we bend, like I said, and ideally we are smooth into that transition. It's almost like a consistent rate, and then we come back up out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like the shocks in your car. If you hit a bump, or if you hit the bottom of a hill or something, you want those shocks, like a spring, to compress and then come back up.
Yeah.
Compress and then come back up. In your case, the spring doesn't want to give.
Yeah.
So it's like
It doesn't
locked
sound
up.
healthy. It almost looks like a 2x4.
yeah, it almost like becomes, we had a former doc here who would call it the like peg leg, right?
Exactly.
Where it's like, it doesn't want to bend, and that is oftentimes a guarding response, and or the lack of strength and or coordination, sometimes both, for all the muscles that are controlling it, because those muscles are the thing being your spring, essentially.
Yeah, and I'm sure that force that I'm sending right back into my hip and knee over time is probably pretty unhealthy.
That's what I would be worried about, is that like when we don't do that work, it's more of a jarring force. It's a higher impact because we're not distributing or attenuating it. So it's going to end up punching something too hard, something that's handling it right now, but I wouldn't want to test it forever. I want you feeling how we control our drop to that spot, and then we pop back up out of it, right? So that vertical oscillation, that little bit of bounce that occurs on every step, is going to be really valuable for you to be able to tap into. Because in your case, if we hop over here,
Yeah, it's trying to straighten.
when we touch down, we see almost no change in how much bend it's got.
Yeah, it's just moving backwards.
It's like, you're just getting on it and off of it, instead of it giving you any of that cushion, any of that spring, and then therefore, if you don't spring into it, it can't give you the pop back away from it. So it's just kind of, like you said, 2 by
Churning.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big thing that I want to remark on here is as your leg progresses behind you, starting at approximately here, we're asking for your hip to extend.
That's what we want. Okay.
So we do not have a tremendous amount of extension in general, like no hip really does. But it ideally gets us to this spot where your body is still leading and the leg has trailed out behind you a tiny bit. And this hip flexor, the front of this hip, has stretched slightly, has elongated slightly as it allows this to occur. Ideally, this strong, powerful hip extension is one of the major contributors to our pop, to push us up and forward. And that is best done by glute and hamstring.
Posterior.
Exactly. Calf certainly playing a role as well. So again, you can see performance-wise why that posterior chain is such a heavy hitter. All of those firing in tandem, with hip being the most powerful of those, especially at higher speeds. In your case, we can see as soon as you get to this spot where your hip should be entering extension, instead of actual extension occurring, it drags your pelvis, or what looks like your low back, a little bit of both. It drags that backwards with it.
Like an anterior pelvic tilt.
Exactly.
So would you say that's a combination of lack of mobility in my hip and then also strength in the glute
Bingo.
and hamstring?
Yep, both of those, and a little bit of core as well, core control, so that this is not allowed to occur in the first place. Anterior abdominals, core in essence, and posterior chain, especially glute and hamstring, are almost codependent.
Okay.
If we try to fire one without good control or stability from the other, we lose a lot of their effectiveness. While it looks like your leg gets behind you, looks like hip extension, we can actually see, boom, 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 this pelvis
Just
has tilted forward,
to compensate.
which means that your hip is not actually extending. Every degree that the pelvis tilts forward is a degree that the hip is not actually extending. It's kind of just keeping its position and dragging the pelvis with it as the leg comes out here behind you, which means for your upper body to stay where it is, your low back is taking on this position, right? Takes on more of an arch, even more of a twist, which we can see here, and we'll see even from the back view.
Yeah.
This is often a big stressor for this back of the pelvis, low back region.
Okay. And I can also see, and I'm sure we'll be able to see from behind, I'm shifting
Yeah,
to the left
right,
a little bit. I'm sure to probably like mentally allow some room for it just to drag through.
Some of that you'll see becomes a washing machine motion of the pelvis, and whenever that occurs, then we end up having to do a lot more washing machine motion with our upper body.
Right.
So we mentioned the first time, upper body arm swing oftentimes is a reflection of the opposite leg. If this side is struggling to extend, which we can see it on both for you, if let's say this side is struggling to extend, I'll end up swishing more here, and then I end up having to do more counterbalancing with a wide arm and wide shoulders up here.
Which seems like so much wasted energy.
Yeah, right. And yeah, we're putting a lot of motion into left and
but that's
just
not
like
going
spinning
forward.
like a Beyblade. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of that's going forward, right?
And I
A
remember
little bit of that is normal,
little bit
but
of
we
sweat.
definitely don't want to be wasting energy bouncing left and right, bouncing into that space.
And I remember you saying on the treadmill last time when I brought up I wanted us to focus on my arm swing. I think you said like, well, once we fix your leg swing, your arms are naturally.
Yeah,
gonna
it was
fix
like
themselves.
might require one extra note, but right now, if you try to fix the arms, occasionally you see an improvement in the legs, but it's not going to magically turn your glutes on. It's not going to magically get those hip flexors to free up and let you extend. So if anything, it might actually make you less efficient to try and correct the arm swing.
Okay.
Because now you're going to be feeling like you've got some weird imbalance and you're not countering that motion that your legs are creating down here.
And the arms were mostly just reacting to my legs.
Exactly, right. In this pattern of movement in walking and with this coordination of fluidity versus stiffness, As your leg travels through the air, the purpose of the leg movement through the air, simply put, is to set up the next step, right? We're not like getting any extra energy or benefit from this. We're just trying to give ourselves the best next step.
Okay.
For that reason, in walking, this makes perfect sense. We just like almost let the leg swing through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into the next reach. In your case, as we've discussed, that strategy at these higher speeds stops being the most effective or the most efficient. And we can see this bicycle pedal motion as we lift and tuck the leg underneath us and drive the knee forward so that we can actually set up this next step and set up this next pull or propulsion that we want. The faster you go, the more I want this leg to coil underneath you and then uncoil as you set up the step, which is why the really fast guys end up doing the butt kick, right? So depending on the pace you want to go, that's where we would actually see on the right leg that I want you to get into more of this bent position. That's where we're more likely to enter to find the limitation as opposed to actually finding that limitation while that right leg is on the ground.
I always wondered why guys are speeding by me on the track and I'm seeing the bottom of their entire sole of their foot. And I'm like, I know the people behind me are not seeing the sole.
Yeah, right. They're seeing the back of the heel. Yeah. As we get that a little bit freer, we can hopefully feel more fluid as the ankle, the knee, and the hip all lift and tuck and drive to set up this next step and get you swinging through the air a little bit more efficiently instead of trying to do it dragging the whole thing along, right?
Seems like we've got a lot of areas to work on mobility and flexibility, but again, that's encouraging for me just because I haven't invested much time specifically since I broke my neck in opening these areas up. So I just see a high ceiling
room for
growth,
right?
Yeah.
Nowhere to go but up. I would also say mobility should absolutely be a target for you. One of the things I mentioned, you could spend all day doing mobility, and you might walk back in and run the exact same way, because the muscle memory for how you run might not connect to the extra mobility that you have freed up in your drills and your stretches, etc. Right?
So we need to combine them.
You got to make sure that you combine them, actually incorporate that new strength or that new mobility into the mechanics, which will feel a little different, right? It ends up being a coordination problem. And the other thing I want to emphasize is instead of giving you oodles of homework, we can hopefully improve your strength and mobility with an actual change in your running mechanics. If we get you to fire glute from this position, it naturally encourages more real hip extension. It naturally keeps this from occurring. It naturally asks for hip flexors for more extensibility. Sometimes we find that getting glute to fire is actually the best means of getting hip flexors to turn off or stretch out instead of just trying to stretch hip flexors till the cows come home. You do also have a tendency, because we're kind of biased this way, but we don't want to lean further into that movement of being pretty far out to the outside of the foot, and even outer movement as we load, which is not necessarily the most effective position for our knee to try and absorb or attenuate that force.
Yeah.
Particularly on righty, because it's not bending. This is not just a straight 2x4. We've got a little bit of warp to it on account of.
I see that. It's very narrow. It's almost like I'm on the catwalk and I'm just stepping straight in front of me.
Yeah, right. Running on the tightrope a little bit.
It can't be healthy.
So this can load some structures on the outside of the knee because of how that force travels relative to the knee. So again, it's not just that we're not bending, it's partially that we are then either bending this way or in this position.
I'm so surprised.
I want to try to get that a little bit closer to center.
Yeah, I'm so surprised my body isn't giving me warning signs of like, dude, this is not sustainable.
Any questions about the video before we get to work?
No, I'd love to get hands on, and yeah, I can go back and watch. But this is all super educational, and yeah, it's motivating to me because, like I said, I think there's so much room for improvement here. I would be bummed if I came in here and you said like
you look good. Yeah.
Well, either that, or you just said that the way because of your injuries or because of you have limitations that we aren't going to move past too fast
not
forward
not
from.
modifiable.
But I think this is an opposite conversation of
Absolutely.
we can put a lot of work in and get better and faster. And I love what you said about the way that I'm gliding now is only getting me up to a certain speed because I'm trying to obviously get faster and not into a 6-minute pace extended or something. I am a distance runner who wants to get to a 7 or 7:30 pace for a marathon rather than an 8:30, which I'm not asking to do a 2:30 marathon. I'm just asking for my body to be able to put out a 7:15, 7:30 pace after a swim and a bike. And I think that's very achievable, especially when you're saying like change the way you're moving and my body's gonna be able to run more efficiently.
Yeah, I would expect so, right? There's like you said, it's like, okay, how much change can we expect? We didn't see anything on the table or anything in our exam that we can't modify to make you look like this.
Amazing.
Right? Or, more specifically, at the quicker pace, like this. It will certainly take work and some time, especially for the body part to adapt. But there's nothing that would
prevent
be so stubborn that it won't get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
This will be a challenge spot.
Mm-hmm.
Calf might give us some challenges based on where that graft is.
Yeah.
And then this potentially, as we change things along the way and it continues to recover, might give us a couple hiccups, right? Probably a little bit less so, but I'm mainly focused on that right side.
Yeah, and just looking forward, I'd love to have 20, 30 more years of running in me, and if we can nip in the bud the things I've been doing wrong, I think that's going to take me further.
Yeah, that's probably highest on my list as well. All right, I've got the treadmill disengaged here, the belt disengaged, I should say. So what I want you to do, 1 foot off the treadmill, 1 foot hovering over it. You can use a hand for balance. We're going to emulate that bicycle pedaling motion.
Okay.
So I want you to lift, and you can there's a couple keys that work here, depending on your preference. You can picture that bicycle pedaling motion. Sometimes people think about running upstairs.
Okay.
I like to talk about getting your foot up onto a curb. It's not high knees, really, but I want a little bit of lift here. From this lifted spot, I am going to pull the treadmill. Pull the treadmill. Pull the treadmill. Bonus points if on the way back, instead of just going straight to that curb,
lift up.
If you think about that bicycle pedal motion, right? So I'm coming up and around, I get up onto the curb, or wherever you end up, pull from there, follow through. Pull the treadmill. Pull the treadmill.
Yeah, that's a great drill. I've never thought about pulling the road beneath me to allow me to go forward. But
right? It's a weird way to think about it.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
But you're pulling yourself over the road, right?
Yeah.
If you watch animals run, like Animal Planet and Nat Geo, if you watch any other slow-mo, the cheetah in particular, so they call this drill a paw back. Partially because it is so easy to see when animals move. They lift up, they come above the spot that they want to touch down, and then they come clawing back, and then they catch the ground and they dig in, and then they launch themselves forward. Right? So we're doing the same thing with 2 legs. You can start on either side, we'll do both. And right now we're just learning the motion.
So you're saying eventually I might be able to run as fast as a cheetah?
Yeah. No, like, don't put that in. Yeah. eyes come up.
Okay.
I want you to kind of like go based off the feel, just observe what you're doing, observe what the leg is feeling. What do you notice? How does it feel?
I've never felt so much tension or activation in my hamstring and calf.
Yeah.
So that's immediately turned on in a
Totally
way that
different.
I've never felt it. But I've never thought about my posture being involved in my running form,
Yeah.
just out of ignorance, you know.
Cool. That's a sign that you were on the right track. A little adjustment I want you to try here. You can lift up onto that curb for me.
Yeah.
So we get into this imaginary curb position, right? Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind, especially as we pick up the pace, if you kick out and reach all the way out here, you look like you're walking, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we saw in the video. This is not the strategy or movement that I want you to use, but it is not necessarily a bad thing for your leg to come out here
Okay.
if it's in service of setting up this motion.
Okay.
So you'll be reminded of the B skip, right? We lift, the leg kicks out, and then comes screaming back.
Mm-hmm.
Chief example of this, if you watch sprinters,
Mm-hmm.
they have a crazy lift. Their leg does kick out in front of them, like almost like they're like actually kicking somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of hanging out and reaching for the next step, they aggressively pull backwards, boom, 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 until their foot is pretty much dead underneath them, and then they pull themselves forward, just like the cheater, just like the big cats do. So the problem is not necessarily that we are letting that foot out in front of us, it's turning it into the reach.
Okay.
So the way I want you to practice that is if you lift and you get up onto this imaginary curb, from this spot, I want you to try and pull your foot to approximately match the other one.
Okay.
So I'm going to hold you here, but if you try to pull through that foot, great. You feel how some calf turns on?
Absolutely.
You probably feel how some hamstring turns on? Do you feel any glute?
A tiny bit.
Maybe
Do you want me to feel more?
Can you give me a little bit more bend?
Oh, yeah.
Good, let the hips stay a little bit lower. And I want you to imagine, instead of just pulling, almost imagine a slight stomping.
Okay.
You're pulling and stomping, it's a little bit of a combo of those two motions.
Okay.
So if you get here, a little bit of pull, a little bit of stomp, does that change the glute activation?
It does. It reminds me of a cycling motion.
Good.
That pull back.
Yeah, good. So we're here, and if I let go of your foot, boom, you'll see that you're already traveling backwards. You get purchase on the ground, and then you can follow through on the treadmill from there.
Okay.
So one of the critical elements, and you can stay right up there, I'll match it. As we drill this, if you get to the perfect spot, touch down, and then start pulling, we've already kind of missed our opportunity.
Okay.
In the real run, it is a snappiness from this lifted position to attack the next step.
Got it.
That's our runway when we pull back to get our foot in the magic spot and to start pulling ourselves forward.
Okay.
If we're a little slack on that, and then you're like, oh crap, it's time to pull.
Too late.
It's already too late, right? Maybe better than nothing, but it's not going to get us into this position that we want. It's probably still going to end up looking just like it was before.
Okay.
So during this drill, look for a slight aggressiveness or a snappiness. Almost that pull, almost that stomp. You're up on the curb, and then you attack the treadmill. And let eyes come up, let the leg kind of take care of itself as it does that. Try to keep a little bit of bend. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's my
Tricky, right?
go-to.
Strong habit.
Yeah.
Good.
I think that's going to take quite a bit of work to get it to be comfortable staying bended.
Those, not uncommon in the knee after big injuries, after big surgeries. It'll hold on to that reflex for a good long while.
Okay.
And restoring that fluidity and that subconscious confidence takes a lot of reps and a lot of work. But it can likely get there. How does this feel?
Yeah, I mean, it gets tired pretty quickly, but
Let's go ahead and try the other side.
I like the motion on the working leg. I just
You're almost noticing the right leg more.
I'm noticing the right leg more,
Okay.
just because it's like, ooh, I've never been in that position.
Yeah, right.
This one feels much more natural.
Yeah, you know what's actually really interesting that I didn't give you credit for in the video, but I should. This right leg, it actually does a tremendous job of utilizing hamstring to pull backwards. It just doesn't quite put all the other pieces together with that. So you'll notice on this side, calf is probably really not used to doing any of the work. Glute's probably not used to doing any of the work. It's not used to bending, but that hamstring is actually really good at pulling this leg back towards the ground.
It probably feels like it has to make up for.
It's making up for everything else, yeah. And it is a really good thing that it does, because that still reduces that braking force that you have to do. So that'll look something like this.
It's okay, leaning forward a little bit.
Totally. Yep. If anything, encouraged. It'll let you work against the belt. That's one of the benefits of this drill, is that it kind of gets you into this more aggressive forward position. Most importantly, though, regardless of what everything else wants to do, we're looking for this lift and pull, little bicycle pedaling motion.
All right.
Let's give it a shot. Keep going. Amp it up a little bit, like a slightly quicker pace. Let's get the treadmill moving slightly faster. And we're just playing with it for now. So I want you to like notice how it feels.
Good.
Observe what left he's doing, observe what right he's doing. It's probably going to change pretty quickly. Ooh, that's exactly where I want to start. And relax. What do you think? What do you notice?
I definitely noticed immediately rather than the reach, my feet are coming more underneath my chest.
Cool.
Which felt good.
Sweet.
Because I felt like that dude that you've been showing me.
Awesome.
And I see why you're telling me you don't want me thinking of 10 things because my brain is like feeling like confused, like shutting down.
Already
like,
jump into a bunch of different
too
things,
much.
right? Yeah, 10 tennis balls. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think it's just because I've been fed so much information.
Yeah.
But I do love that initially, rather than out here, I thought it might be hard for me to tell myself, get your feet under you, and obviously this is probably different than what it would be like outside.
Yeah.
But I do love that almost instantaneously as I shift forward and think about lifting up, that the natural place for that foot to fall is more where it should be, right?
Perfect. Good running form, especially when you watch good runners, they kind of make it look easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Internally, we know it's not, but there's a fluidity, there's a rhythm to it, and as we work on your running form, there will certainly be steps along the way that feel the opposit of that, especially as we get that right leg cooperating. Yeah, where it's like, oh man, it's drilly, clunky, and you're like, my body really does not know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to get those things to click, it's a sign that you are on the right track.
Cool.
And in terms of where we want to land for what you're practicing, it is pretty important to me that you actually get it feeling organic. Otherwise, it's only going to be a thing that you can do for a minute or two at a time. I want it to be a thing that you can sustain and do for the whole race, right? Or for a whole training run to start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and when you say that, when I do think about or watch videos of these really good marathon runners being effortless, it seems like, at least from my point of view, from the waist down, you see the churning, but from the waist up, it seems so minimal.
Yeah, right.
And then when I saw myself there, it seemed like I was putting so much effort into like throwing my upper body into it. So I'd love to get rid of that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's almost like that's what your body's having to do on account of what's not going right below the hips or below the waist. You know?
Cool.
So,
well, it seems correctable.
Sweet. Give me one more round of that small adjustment, or the full speed running version. One adjustment I want to see here. You are leaning forward.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to imagine slight more squat.
Okay.
Or if you want to think about it, slightly more hinge.
Okay.
A little bit of both of those. Basically, you're getting lower, you're getting a little bit more bent. Some of that can be at the hip, some of that can be at the knee, or even at the ankle, right? As you get this forward lean, instead of running and doing this motion from here, try and see if you can do it from here. Otherwise, you're still doing that circular motion.
Okay.
A bit lower still. Now that probably feels pretty awkward, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Give me like 30 more seconds here. Bear with me. Instead of getting low and staying low, can you give me a little bit of that bounce from high to low? When your foot's on the ground, you'll allow yourself to sink in and then push back up. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. 10 more seconds there, and I want you to notice how that feels. Notice what you got to do to accomplish that. And relax.
I'm more tired than usual.
Yeah, part of that's where we basically got you doing a sled, right? So
Yeah.
that's an aspect of that for sure. What do you think about putting all that together? Like kind of focusing on the leg motion and thinking about a little bit of that bounce or springiness.
Yeah, I felt as though I'm jumping up more than going forward. But obviously, that's what we're trying to accomplish, right?
To an extent.
I think my uneducated just running on my own, which is getting me from A to B, but not efficiently, is not incorporating that more jumpiness or bounciness.
Yeah.
So it feels laborious right now to think like, my mind is saying, why are you going up when we're trying to go forward?
Certainly.
But based on everything you said, we need to go up in order to incorporate that 360.
You're exactly right. Yep. It turns out, because we don't have wheels, for us to most effectively and efficiently move forward, we actually have to get ourselves a little bit of airtime or a little bit of upward bounce. Now, as we learn it, we will often overdo it or drill it to start, and it'll feel like kind of boundy, especially if you're not used to it. When you watch the pros, when you watch the high-level runners, they have a tiny bit of vertical oscillation, and then it's very, very consistent, right? So they're not wasting energy going up and down. You can imagine jump roping, right?
You get
So
tired.
you're going to tire yourself out. You don't want to do a whole marathon like that. But in order to accomplish this leg motion and keep everything here stable and sound like we want it, we do need a little bit of that pop. And that pop is pushing you forward, but also a tiny bit up.
Very interesting.
How'd that feel?
Yeah, when you told me to switch back, I felt like a pirate. My right leg was immediately that peg. And so I'm realizing how unhealthy that must be. It was like, yeah, it shifted to just sticking it out there, immediately straightened up my leg.
Yeah.
Of course, it felt comfortable just in terms of familiarity, but it immediately showed me like, oh, that's not right. So I'm so glad that we can quickly turn that on so that when you're not here and I'm on the trail, I'm like, ooh, that's not right.
Right, exactly. Exactly what you just described is how I want you to start incorporating and practicing this. We're going to do at least one more round of that so you can lock in how it feels.
Yeah.
And I very much expect that you are going to toggle into and out of the new form, the RunLab run, if you will,
Sure.
and then totally automatic, totally old you, right?
Sure.
That's totally normal. It's got to go through that process because you are starting to chip away at the old habit and lay down the new habit, and that takes plenty of time, plenty of repetitions. There's no exact formula, but what I encourage folks to do is essentially spaced repetition as they practice that. So instead of you trying to brute force it for 3 miles straight, I want you to tap into it for 2 minutes out of every 5,
Love that.
roughly. All right, check it out. So here is, I'll start with a normal you.
Okay.
This is pretty much like what we saw on the big screen, right? That's what I expect.
Legs pretty
This is gonna be most of your running still. This is when you're not thinking about it. Reaching for that next step. Minimal bend. Now, the new version.
Can already see more of a mid-foot strike.
Yep.
And a little more bounciness.
Yep, a little bit more of that bounce or vertical oscillation. Now, oftentimes what happens, which I will emphasize here, is I watch people run all the time, right? So if I pull this video up and you're like, honestly, that doesn't look that different. Cool, that's kind of a good thing because while it feels crazy to you right now, I actually don't want a drastic change all at once. And when we watch it, you might realize, oh, that feels way crazier than it looks, right? It probably feels like you're like doing the high knees and, like doing the B skip or whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
And instead it's like, oh, that's just like a little bit different from this guy.
But a little bit different is good.
A little bit different is good, exactly. That little bit of difference matters a lot. And most importantly, if you can feel how big of a difference it is. But you're already seeing a little bit more of that midfoot strike.
Wow.
You get a little bit more fluid. Especially what I like about this is the way you're carrying through to set up that step. Yeah. You can kind of start to see the whole shape.
And that's even at a slow 10-minute pace.
Yep.
I'd imagine we'd see it a little bit more if we go faster. Wow, those two videos are very different to me.
Yeah, we'll get those shared with you as well.
Love it.
All right, I want to practice this one more time.
Okay.
While we do that, we'll do one more video that I'll narrate over to make it a little bit easier for you to review, just like crystal clear on how you're going to incorporate and practice this, because I know you are leaving town soon, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's give it a shot. You can start up here if you'd like, then we can transition.
Okay.
Your thought process is what? And this is there's not a right or wrong answer here. This is like mental image or like feeling that you're going for.
For a new form? Yeah, first thing I'm thinking of is that curve that we're putting it up on.
Yep.
Secondly, thinking rather than reaching so much, just let it naturally fall beneath me. And then thinking about pulling the ground back. And then once this is releasing, kind of lifting my heel a little bit just to make it more of coming up and over something.
Cool. I like that.
That's what comes to my mind.
Okay, good.
I think it's a bit too much for me to add in like what you talked about where I don't, where I'm anterior tilt and then where I'm not releasing. I think that's all.
Agreed. I would leave that for later. Yep.
Okay.
Keep it manageable and accomplishable. Okay. Right. All right. Let's give it a go.
Start straight for the new one.
Mm-hmm. Again.
It feels crazy.
Maybe a little bit. Efficient is another word for that. All right, I want you to spend 2 minutes out of every 5 roughly with the new version. Okay. That means most of your running, most of your miles are still going to be easy, normal time. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that sound doable?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Great.
Wow, it's so obvious. I wasn't expecting to be able to feel how different they are.
Yeah, good. Something that comes up often in this line of work is you don't know what you don't know, right? Like your body just, it forms that habit, kind of gets used to that. And we just need to, like I said, open the door to a slightly different movement, a slightly different shape. And all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, this is worlds different, right? Yeah. But it was one adjustment away. It was one, a small change away, but your body didn't know about it, so it never touched it, right?
In my mind, when I thought about this, I know that I reach and I kind of just said, well, that's who I am and that's how I run.
Yeah, right.
But what I love about this is that wasn't even on my mind when you asked what's on your mind. On my mind was fixing some other things, and as a byproduct, it came underneath.
Good.
And I immediately felt like my body naturally wanted to more easily go forward.
Good.
It's almost like I was Roadrunner all of a sudden. Where it's like,
good. Yeah, sweet.
And that's
a good sign.
That's great.
That's the level of organic we're going for.
Yeah, I love that because of all these things to think about. I love that. I thought that was going to be number one. That was going to be so hard. Like, how do I not reach? Because that's how I walk and that's how I run. But you've got me focusing on something else that naturally just fixes that. It's amazing.
Great. I'm glad that's working for you.
Me too.
All right. Let me get these videos shared with you.
Cool.
That is essentially how I want you to practice. Maybe be ready, depending on what they throw at you in Australia. I'm not sure how intense that's going to be. They might even have things that the coaches want you to think about, focus on your own, right? So be ready to adjust that plan if it's too much or if it's not feeling like it's working right for your body. Because we've kind of got a gap before the next time we see you.
Yeah.
I would have you practice the roughly 2 minutes out of every 5 when you're able to in the running until the next time we see you, and just kind of keep working with those two main pieces of emphasis. But I'm also gonna give you my email in case something doesn't add up.
I love that.
Or if it's hey, I'm feeling this, is that normal? Or should I back off? Blah blah blah. Since it's gonna be kind of a little while until the next time we see you.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, so I'm going maybe 3-4 weeks to Australia, and this physio, you've already given me so much to think about running wise, and that's your specialty. For your information, my plan is not to go there and have him give his whole analysis as well. I'm going there primarily. I've got an Olympic swim coach who's going to make me a better swimmer, separately from the physio.
A lot of movement thoughts and form thoughts probably going through your head between the two.
Yeah, but I'll keep them separate.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go in and tell the physio fix everything with my run. That's a little bit more related to let's keep the mobility in my neck helping to help me swim better.
Okay.
So this is primarily and also speaking to my coach yesterday, training, swimming, cycling, running definitely needs to be there because we're 16 weeks out from the race.
Yeah.
But it's incorporating what you've told me so that we are preventing injuries.
You're not crossing too many wires.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry. I'm not worried about letting too many eyes. I love what you've been doing, and I want to work through that with you.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. That sounds good, and it's good for me to know.
Cool.
All right, very solid work.
I hope you guys learned something from that session. For me, there's a lot of valuable information there. Obviously, it's individual to me and my specific injuries, but I highly recommend for anyone, if you're in Austin, get to RunLab. If not, find a similar facility, because the amount of things I have to work on that are going to prevent injuries, and just a lot of people for some reason don't think they should have their running form analyzed, or it's just never crossed their mind. So I hope this encourages you to get out there, especially if you want to be a competitive runner and have some things to work on. Tomorrow I'm flying to Australia for a month of training triathlon over there. Excited to show you some content over what it's like training abroad. We'll see you next episode.